I have three wedges, 58, 50, a 54 which is actually 52 degrees, and then a pitching wedge which is 47 degrees, obviously all Cleveland, hence why we're here. Very nice they are too. Well, this is about as standard a pitch as you'll ever see. I'm off an upslope, I'm landing on an upslope as well. So I would picture this, I want to land the ball about 2 yards on the green, and it should just release somewhere near the hole, in theory. So, as you can see, our feet pretty much close together. Weight slightly on the left side. Hands slightly in front of the ball. And then we just swing away. How firmly? Good question. Let me think about it. Well, actually, God rest his soul, Sebi, I heard him say that once, and it's probably about true. If you were gripping a tube of toothpaste, you would just be squeezing a bit out the end if it was half full. So you're not strangling it, but you couldn't pull the club out of my hands. So you don't want any tension in there. And a lot of this shot is to do with rhythm. So you're just trying to get a nice bit of rhythm. Which is the 58, 90 yards absolute maximum, sort of 85 really, thinking about with a bit of spin as well. I don't like to try and hit that more than 85 yards unless it's downwind. My 52 degree wedge is 105 yards, so a 20 yard gap, and then another 20 yards on, so 125 with my 47 degree wedge. I only have three. A lot of the guys use four wedges. They're not so confident of taking a little bit of distance off their clubs, and they want a club for more specific distances. I'm quite happy just to fiddle around with mine and hit slightly softer. I'm quite comfortable at trying to get the right distance. This one, I've got a little grind on this one that Ian in the truck does for me, a little tour grind as he would call it, but apart from that, all the others straight off the rack. With my 60 or 58 degree, in the back of my mind, I know, roughly speaking, if I swing so that I feel that my left arm comes to what I would call the 9 o'clock position.
Do the clock.
Yeah, but I do it vaguely. I kind of know that somewhere around there with a sensible follow through, it's going to go somewhere around 60 yards. And I also, with the 52 degree, same thing. Plus, by the way, when I feel like my arm goes to 9 o'clock, it actually goes to 10 o'clock. Which I've become aware of. So, but in my mind, it's a 9 o'clock swing. 60, 90 with the mid wedge down from 105, and 105 with the pitching wedge down from 125. So there's a nice, simple way of looking at it. And I do think that works quite well for a lot of people. Obviously, when you're talking about difference of 1 or 2 yards, I mean that just takes hours of practice. But I do think the 9 o'clock sort of 10 o'clock system is quite a good way of doing it. I'd probably go with an A time because I'm landing this short of the green. If you look at sort of where the balls start, the last 3 or 4 yards, there's a bit of an upslope and then almost a bit of a downslope onto the green. I'm going to be very unsure as to how that ball's going to react, because I've got to be so precise as to whether I land it slightly on the upslope or on the downslope. So I would, if I wasn't going to land this on the green, I would land it much shorter than the green so that I know it's landing on the upslope. I know I've got a 3 yard gap and it's going to dig in. So I would, if I'm going to land it short, I'm going to land it way short so that I know how the ball's going to react with some certainty. And then in terms of how I would play it, I don't really know what I do. What do I do? It's pretty much the same theory really. My feet are very close together. Hands are slightly in front of the ball, but not so much. You don't want to get too much shaft lean, because then the club's going to come down too steep. And conversely, you don't want to have your hands behind because you're going to struggle to strike it properly. So hands somewhat just about level with the ball, so slightly leaning forward. Weight slightly on the left side. And I'm just trying to brush the grass and catch the ball and land it just at the end of this upslope. It's too hard. Yeah, it was a bit of a dodgy bounce, but it's sort of reacted how I wanted to. And I think chipping, we try and make it just as simple. Well, the whole short game, we try and make it as simple as possible. I mentioned Sevi earlier. I learned a great thing from him. As brilliant a short game artist as Sevi was, he always used the edge of the green as almost as a landing marker, and he'd try and land the ball anywhere between 1 and 2 yards onto the green anytime he could, and he'd use the club that would then roll the ball to the hole. And that's someone as brilliant, as brilliant as Sevi would try and make the shot as simple as possible and use as least loft as possible, as often as possible, to just make it as simple as you can. I'm pretty good around the greens. If I can get the putter in my hand, that's the first club I go for, because I'm having to be a good putter. If I can't do that, a lot of the guys nowadays are using the 3-wood and the rescue. And on tour, because all we care about is the score, we try and make it as simple as possible, as risk-free as possible. And funny enough, when we're playing a lot of pro-ams, you always see the guys reach for the wedge. They always use more loft than we would. If I was going to give one little technical thing, I've got quite a strong left-hand grip, and if you want to play a really aggressive lob shot, one thing you can do, if you're slightly brave, is that would be my normal left-hand position, and I would just tweak it weaker, slightly to the left. That's going to mean that the way my hand works, I'm going to put more loft on the club on the way back, and that's what obviously weakening the grip does, and that allows you to be much more aggressive. Probably not needed for a shot as long as this is obviously 30 yards, but if you wanted to get one right up and down as quick as you can, it's a great tip, but it needs a bit of practice. Although I said earlier, be cautious and play the simple shot, conversely, you also see a lot of amateurs that when they get in a position where they need to play a lob shot or to do something aggressive, they're scared to. And golf's supposed to be fun, so have a go when you need to. And this really all is about time and effort and judgment, which does take a lot of time and effort. It's judging the loft, judging how hard to hit it. There's no great secret to it, other than I'm not going to want, with a lob shot obviously, with the chip shot my hands were slightly in front, and just trying to get a nice strike down on the ball. With a lob shot you'd want your hands level, so almost in vertical. You don't want any shaft lean, because obviously we're trying to get the ball up in the air. So other than that, just try and sort of judge the loft that you want to put on it, and then if anything, air on the long side. And that was a bit too aggressive. So we got the height. And then it really is just a case of judging how much loft to put on and how hard. If I'm going to open the club even more, and you'd be amazed at how that club's almost flat on the ground, really. Gonna have to aim a little bit further left. Starting to get a bit worried actually now. And then you can be even more aggressive. There's no secret to it other than striking the chips, just striking it well. A slightly descending blow. The further you put it back in your stance, probably the more spin you're going to create. However, you're going to bring the flight down. So that's when the guys get the checky ones, which you see less of nowadays because of the grooves. But that's what they would be doing. I'm not going to be able to create it here, the conditions aren't quite right. But it would be a little bit further back in the stance, hands a little bit further forward.
I like that. Yeah. Possibly, yeah. They might say I like this 60.